I want to bring up a kind of a mentor of mine. He doesn't know it, but I have watched this guy for 15 plus years. Dr. David Phillips is Harvard educated, emergency room doctor who was on the front lines dealing with the most serious conditions of the human condition. But then he had a shift in his life. He'll tell you about this. And he wanted to actually talk about performance, being on the field of play, taking action, being a verb instead of a noun. Oh, you got cancer. Well, you're tumoring. Two different ways to think about it. You with me on that? You're tumoring. You're on the field of play. You're an athlete. Let's roll. This guy is a kindred spirit of mine. Please give, I could go on and on with his resume, but we're gonna have some fun right now. Please give a warm welcome for our guys in the trenches, Dr. David Phillips. All right. So Dave, you're a scientist, you're a doctor. Oh, you're an Ironman triathlete. Forgot to mention that. Kona, Ironman, hardcore. Iron men love pain. Iron women love, like the pain room. We won't go into that. If athletes are anything, they're ruthlessly practical, but they're skeptical. Sometimes you got to talk smack to athletes to get their attention. He's good at talking smack to athletes. Skeptical as a physician, skeptical as an athlete. How did you hear about this adventure? How did it come into your life? What broke through that resistance? Tell us your intro story here.
Well, you know, to be honest with you, I spent the greater part of over 20 years as an emergency physician working in a level 1 trauma center. And that was great for about 10 years of my life. I ended up burning out. I went through a divorce and actually ended up relocating to Atlanta, Georgia. And if you know physicians, I mean, our staple food group in the hospital is donuts. So that's what I was subsisting on. And when I moved to Atlanta, my physical shape was horrible. And so I decided to kind of get back my swimming years at Harvard and try to get back into shape. So I ended up hiring a coach. I wanted to do triathlons. There's a big community in Atlanta at the time. And so I hired a coach and did a few small events, and it culminated at the end of that year of doing Ironman Florida, which is technically one of the easiest Ironmans, which is kind of an oxymoron. But I ended up doing Ironman Florida, and I actually had a miserable race. I mean, I was still eating not too well. And so I was burned out before I even went into the race because I'd overtrained. Subsequently had a horrible race. For about 2 to 3 days after the race, I was so sore I could barely walk. And for probably about, gosh, I'd say a month after the race, I was just constantly sick all the time. Cough, cold, upper respiratory infection, you name it. And I hate to admit it, but at that time, I was taking a bunch of vitamins. I was taking like up to 8 vitamin and mineral herbal supplements. And it's based on my training partners. Whatever they were taking, I'll take it down the hatch. And again, you got to remember that physicians do not get nutrition education. So I was just shuffling stuff in my mouth, just thinking, well, I'll go out and perform. So I had a horrible race. And so that's how I came into the community, is that I was training. I really wanted to go to the Super Bowl of Ironman competition, which is the one you see televised on TV, right? The Ironman World Championships in Kona. That was my goal. But I wasn't going to do it the way I was going to do it for Florida. I had to do something different. So there's a large community, and some of you guys know this story, but I was approached by a very attractive, she's probably up there somewhere, but a very attractive and intelligent woman who started engaging me in this conversation about oxidative stress that occurs when you exercise. Now, I didn't know any of that stuff because they don't teach doctors about oxidative stress. But she was very insistent that I take these fruit and veggie powdered concentrates and capsules. Now, if you're a healthcare provider, we have healthcare providers. You guys are going to wave? Anybody? Yes. So healthcare providers, again, we don't get much about nutrition, but we're very, very, very skeptical people. And so I was very skeptical. I was already eating, I changed my diet to eat more plants. So I thought, I'm fine here. So she started engaging me in that conversation. I wasn't sure about it, but by golly, she was attractive. I was going to date her. So I took it, and now, as many of you know, we're married, going on 17, 18 years now. Yeah, awesome.
Physicians are all about the science until it's not about the science.
It's not about the science. But again, I was really skeptical, like a lot of people are about this, right? So I was training for Ironman Hawaii at the time. And if you've done an Ironman, you know, it's a full-time job. It's like 4 to 5 hours a day training. And, you know, I knew my body well, and it wasn't right away, but about 2 to 3 months into taking Juice Plus, I started to notice some subtle kind of anecdotal, you know, testimonial things that were happening to my body that in all my years as a collegiate swimmer and triathlete, I'd never noticed before. Some of the stuff that Jeff was saying, I was recovering a lot quicker. I was having a lot less muscle and joint pain, and I wasn't getting sick anymore. I just thought it was common for athletes to do a lot of heavy training to get 2-3 colds a year. It wasn't happening. And my training partners who were not taking Juice Plus were still having that issue. So I knew that Juice Plus was filling in the gap. So I went and did Ironman Hawaii. And I haven't said this before, but I finished that race. It was amazing that when I did Ironman Florida, one of the easiest, it's very flat. It took me 10 hours and 10 hours and 4 minutes. When I did Ironman Hawaii, you guys, this is on Juice Plus for a year, the hardest course in the world, I was only 6 minutes slower, 10:10 on the hardest course. And the only thing I did differently was I took Juice Plus. And that was interesting to me because I'm like, well, what happened to me? I thought, I'll take a look at the research. And when I looked at the research back then, there were like, I think 15 to 18 studies. Now there's over 40. It's amazing, you guys, what we have. But 2 of those studies on Juice Plus were published in my sports medicine magazine, the one I get in my mailbox every month. Are you kidding me? You know, they can study fruits and veggies in capsules with a placebo in humans, right? Not rats, mice, and test tubes, using gold standard protocol, get those kinds of results and have them accepted and published in one of the top sports medicine journals in the country, in the world even. Boom, light bulb went on for me. And I knew that this message of my performance needed to get out there. And that's when I started lecturing for the company and talking about the research. 17 years ago, you guys. 17 years ago. I love this company. And that's how I was introduced. I actually, through my wife, love you, honey. But, you know, we're just at the tip of the iceberg about getting everybody healthy. And that's my responsibility as a healthcare provider and all of the other healthcare providers in our company. We have a mission to go out and make everybody healthy.
So, right? So if athletes are tuning in, athletes get hit up with a lot of subs, a lot of supplements. How to help? What was your call to adventure to pay attention and to do your homework?
Well, you know, for me, supplements, because I didn't know anything about supplements, and there, I think there's something like 60, 70,000 supplements here in the States. I mean, it's a really confusing, highly unregulated industry, right? And so I just thought taking vitamins is a good thing because you see it on TV, you see athletes doing that. But what really separated Juice Plus from all of the other supplements on the market today was, number one, the research. And I have a research background from Duke. And number two, the certification. You know, how many times have we heard athletes go into a vitamin store, buy vitamins, and if they're getting random urine drug screen or urine tests for the World Anti-Doping Association, they end up with dirty urine, contaminated urine. Our products are NSF certified, and some NSF certified for sport, which ensures that what's in it is in it, fruits and veggies, and not some guy's ground grass clippings that are ground up in a capsule. And what's not in it, it's not in it. You know, things like stimulants, steroids, herbicides, pesticides, fungicides. That separated us from everybody else that doesn't have that certification. But really, really what separated us was our research. Our research, you guys, separates us from all other products on the market today. We've spent millions of dollars in human-based studies, and that's why I became passionate about it.
Out of 45 published studies, can you do some snorkeling and skim us through your top studies and what you like about them?
Sure. Yeah. Again, I have a research background, so it was awesome to see the quality of the research. But one of my favorite studies that some of you have heard me talk about is the COBRA study. It was a study that was done on the Austrian Elite Special Forces Unit. And it was about reducing oxidative stress. So let me just explain what oxidative stress is, because this is kind of cutting edge stuff in medicine. You can think of oxygen as putting a stress on our bodies. Well, we need oxygen that puts a stress on our bodies in the form of free radicals, right? And so what you want to do is decrease that oxidative stress. similar to when you cut an apple in half and you leave that apple exposed to oxygen or room air, what happens to the apple, right? It becomes brown. It becomes oxidized. And you can think of it as aging quicker. So we want to decrease that. We want the benefits of taking in oxygen. We want to decrease those nasty free radicals. So the way to do that is through the consumption of antioxidants, right? And our bodies, the interesting is our bodies have an own unique system that tries to decrease free radical damage. It's an enzymatic, non-enzymatic system, but the research is clear. That system that we're born with has to be fortified every single day. And we fortify that system, well, it's through our diets, but specifically diets that are rich in fruits and veggies, and specifically the rainbow of colors, the reds, the greens, the purples, the yellows. So decreasing that oxidative stress is important. And that's what they did in this study. They had these big, strong athletes divided into two groups. One group of athletes that took the dummy pill, placebo, the other group of athletes that took Juice Plus capsules. And what the researchers want to know, what kind of protein oxidation or damage, because we want to preserve our proteins, what kind of protein oxidation is occurring in their bodies? And without going into great detail, what they found out from the beginning of the study to the final exercise session, was a 28-week study when they exercised these guys, was there was a significant reduction in oxidative or damaged protein circulating around in their bodies. It's called protein carbonyls. It was a significant decrease in the athletes that were taking Juice Plus, and they actually had an increase in these damaged protein carbonyls circulating around in the bodies of these athletes who were not taking Juice Plus, who were taking the dummy pill or placebo. So all that science, what does that mean for all of us? From a performance standpoint, multiple studies recently have shown that, study after study after study, as a matter of fact, that overtraining and overreaching syndromes, when you get tired, which is what happened to me before I started taking Juice Plus, that is carried over from one season to the next. So we don't want to have oxidative stress because that impairs our athletic performance. And so by decreasing that stress on our bodies, it allowed me, especially in Ironman Hawaii, to have a great race. And, I was sore, but not like I was when I was when I did Florida. So that particular study is absolutely huge.
Yeah, it was Joe Sixpack translation. You work hard to develop protein, protect them. Protect them. How about quickly touch on inflammation, because I want to get to brain health and vascular capacity quickly.
Inflammation and oxidative stress are kind of interdependent. And so inflammation issues, like a normal inflammatory response that would occur in your body is if you get a cut, and that wound, as it heals, becomes inflamed, right? It's red, hot, nasty for a while, and then it heals over. But when that inflammation becomes haywire and becomes this low-level kind of chronic systemic inflammation, that is not good. That has been tied to chronic disease conditions, from cardiovascular disease to diabetes to cancer. And so decreasing inflammation is hugely important for all of us. And so our company has multiple studies that shows that it decreases these inflammatory markers like interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha and C-reactive protein. All those markers were affected by Juice Plus compared to the placebo group. And so in exercise, in inflammation, there's a process called DOMS, or late onset muscle soreness. And then that's maybe some of you guys have had this, where you go out and you train real hard, and then you don't feel too bad that day, but in 2 or 3 days coming up, you start feeling, I see people nodding their head, you feel like you've been hit by a truck. And that delayed onset of muscle soreness is due to continued inflammatory processes that's going on in your body even after you stopped exercising. So this is a protective form. And again, I didn't have an issue with this after doing the hardest Ironman course in the world.
There's mental health, there's mental fitness, brain performance. Unpackage that.
Yeah, so actually I want to just run to the vascular.
Vascular, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to talk about the one particular study I love is about vascular health. So when we eat a high-fat meal, which hopefully we don't eat too much of in this community, but when you have a high-fat meal, it constricts your arteries. And that restricts your blood flow, right? And so in this particular study, it was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. They measured brachial artery blood flow after a high-fat meal. And so the placebo group had this constriction, but the Juice Plus group that were taking the Juice Plus Essentials didn't have that constriction. So, what does that mean? Well, obviously, as athletes or people who are exercising, we want better vascularity, better vascular capacity, right? We want that. But again, as Jeff has
Say that word again. Vascular capacity. Who doesn't want more of that?
Right. And that applies, like you said, in pregnancy, better perfusion of the placenta, better perfusion of nutrients getting to your fetus, to your developing baby. I mean, Juice Plus babies are amazingly healthy, aren't they? I mean, it's just so cool. But again, it's better blood flow to your muscles when you're exercising. That's the whole thing kind of, and again, with diabetics who have microcirculation issues, better blood flow to your extremities. So again, vascular studies, huge, huge.
This century is the century of the brain performance.
Yeah, and so really what we're talking about in brain performance is cognitive functioning, right? And they have shown that in the past, research has shown that polyphenols that you get from the berries and other fruits and veggies, polyphenols have a favorable effect on cognitive function. So they want to know if multiple polyphenols, which are in our product, Juice Plus, what would have an effect on the brain. And so what they found compared to placebo was that the Juice Plus group had a significant increase in cognitive function, processing speed, attention, working memory. And you guys, all that stuff translates into better cognitive function, better mental acuity. And who doesn't want that? I mean, that could be little Johnny going off to school up to, I'm over 60 now, so I can use as much as I need. But even to the elderly, better cognitive function. And we've seen all these neurodegenerative diseases and things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia. There's a vascular component to that, you guys. And so we have an incredible product that lends itself to better vascularity.
What kind of athletes?
And better mental health.
Yeah, what kind of athletes do we work with? Or come to us and want what we have?
Yeah, the important thing is that we don't pay our athletes. Our athletes get it. They hear the science. They understand the performance value to this. And so we don't have to pay athletes. They come to us. And, they're great athletes in our company, like Jason Fowler, right? Kona world champion in the hand cycle division. Ariana Kukers. We have people across the board, Winter Vanecki, right? We've got a bunch of really great people who get the science and they see the performance that they're getting. And so that's what's exciting to me is that, these athletes are coming to us going, hey, what was that stuff you're taking? And let me tell you, they're coming on board big time. They're coming on board.
I just want to wrap up by saying I had the pleasure of working with athletes and I here's what I say to them. Are you familiar with food conditioning with plant powders? And they're like, what? They kind of look at you crazy, but it's an invitation to help them catch up to this conversation. David and I will tell you, thank you for your time. I know we're running a few minutes over. This guy's been in the trenches for 15 years, and he and I are so excited for the leadership at our company now that's going to take us into the next chapter for our company around health and performance. Who I want to bring up now is
Jeff, just let me add one more thing, and that I just to that. So we have an awesome company, you guys. We have a brand new CEO, Travis, awesome. We have Jay Thompson, we have Sean Hawkins, we have Lisa Pepple. You guys, we have a core group of people who are dedicated to taking this company to the next level. We're taking this on the road. We're going to take this performance message out there. We're always going to be foundationally a company that has solid research for prevention. But remember, preventing things adds to a performance gain. And so Jeff and I are teaming up to do this. I think we're excited. You guys, the next chapter, Juice Plus 2.0. Oh my God, it's coming. It's coming.
Right on. Okay, so stay with me. Now I want to bring up Toni Branner. She's an exercise physiologist. She's a mama bear and mama mojo. She's in the trenches. I talked about the physiology spectrum from core to peak. She's working with pros that are training for the Paris Olympics. Please welcome Toni Branner.
I want to give a shout out to my Health Made Simple friends out there. My granddaughters are on the screen. They're practically perfect, of course. I have been working as an exercise physiologist and teaching the power of plants and micronutrition for almost 40 years now, believe it or not. And I'm so grateful for the other speakers. Every time I hear about that research and the Tower Gardens, I get excited all over again. So cool. So athletes, let's talk about athletes. Athletes can have the best coach. They can have the most advanced training program. But what could give them that extra edge to help them win and compete at the highest level? probably things like quantity and quality of sleep, right? Everybody needs that. Maybe the perfect hydration, right? That's good. Maybe avoiding toxins, maybe mental focus techniques. We all need that. Everybody raise your hand if you need mental focus techniques, right? I see some hands back there. Stress management skills. Anybody have any stress in their life? No stress, right? But the big one is ideal nutritional support. And when I work with athletes, usually they're pretty consumed with macronutrients. How many proteins, carbohydrates, and fats are they getting in their diet, right? But it's the micronutrients that actually create resilience and conditioning at the cellular level. And that's what makes us very, very special. I like to talk to my athletes about creating an armor. Everybody imagine a knight in shining armor, right? And when we practice these daily health habits, we maybe get benefits like less illness, fewer injuries, right? Better recovery, maybe a longer athletic career. Wouldn't that be great? And so I'm so grateful that I discovered the Juice Plus products 28 years ago. Yes, you heard it, 28. Anybody else? Long time Juice Plus fan. Yeah. And, you know, I was frustrated. I needed something to bridge the gap for my athletes because I knew what they needed, but it just wasn't happening. And, you know, I would try to say things like, try harder. And the truth is they were busy. They were traveling. They were picky eaters. Maybe they were on a strict budget and they just weren't getting adequate fruits and vegetables to be protected. And my research had been in the area of oxidative stress, and I knew that that was super necessary. I felt so strongly about it, and I do today, that I won't even train an athlete or work with one of my fitness clients unless they are taking all 3 colors of Juice Plus, the plant-based omegas, and a daily Juice Plus shake. I call this the Performance Plus Protocol. So what is that protocol for my athletes? Every day, fruit powders in a capsule. Every day, vegetable powders in a capsule. Every day, berry powders in a capsule. Every day, plant-based omega essential oils in a capsule. Why are the capsules so great? These athletes are traveling all over the world. I'm traveling to visit my family. I need something convenient that is protected from degrading. And you'll hear from Lisa Pebble in just a little bit about that. And that's why they're so amazing. Now, the smoothies are also part of the protocol, or shakes. Call them shakes or smoothies, right? And the smoothies are so amazing for athletes and for everyone else because you can customize them, right? You can put them with water, you can put them with plant milk, you can make them in your blender. So as an example, my football athletes might want to gain muscle and gain weight. Anybody know? Anybody have that goal? I'm jealous if you have that goal. My Taekwondo athletes, they might need to make a certain weight to be able to compete. Well, they want fewer calories, but still very high nutrient density. Has anyone ever heard of nutrient density, right? You need to pack a lot into fewer calories, right? And so plants allow us to do that. Maybe my soccer athletes are trying to do glycogen replacement, right? They're trying to, replace the energy in their muscles so the next day they will have just as much energy. And you only have about 30 minutes to an hour to make that happen once you finish your practice or your game. So I've had the honor of working with an amazing training facility called the United States Performance Center for the past 20 years. And they're currently training 15 different teams in residency at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte on their campus. They recently became the largest national team and Olympic team training center in the United States. And I'm hoping that all of you will get your ticket for the Charlotte Juice Plus Live conference that's coming up the end of October, because you'll get to meet David Kerner and Ike Belk, who are the founders of the USPC, and you'll learn more about how our amazing Juice Plus company is partnering with the United States Performance Center to provide every one of their athletes with the optimal nutritional support. Pretty cool, right? So don't forget that the Performance Plus protocol is not just for elite athletes. It's going to benefit all of us as well. Olympians, yes. Weekend warriors. We have any weekend warriors out there? Check. Youth athletes. Anybody have some children who play sports? Right? And all of us, right? All of us need this as much. We all want to have the health and the energy to be able to fulfill our personal mission in life. We want to be able to thrive, not just survive. And we want to really be able to be our best self, right?